Well, it's warm, it's crowded, it's warm and crowded, and I had this thought about custom bikes and customized bikes, and I sort of just want to break down some delineations of those, or where I see like what's what, and so we can all speak the same language, be on the same page, which is presumptuous of me to be the person to determine that stuff, but here we are. I think there's sort of kind of three levels of this stuff. I mean, obviously there's gradations and whatever, but you got what I would call a stock build, right? So like that's a bike from a manufacturer as spec'd, etc., right? So you go buy like a specialized whatever, like a Trek whatever, and like you pick it up at the shop and you ride it, and that's a stock bike. You start modifying parts on it, swapping things out, breaking things, replacing them, and all that sort of stuff, you're still really on, in my humble opinion, you're still really on a stock bike. It's not stock anymore, but that was a stock bike. That's what it was. And that's nothing wrong with that, man. Like, bang for buck, it's real hard to beat that. Just flat out. You know what I'm saying? Second thing would be like, I guess we used to call these pro builds. But basically that's frame and fork plus parts kit, right? So like you go buy a frame from, I'm trying to think of someone who even does this now. You go buy like a Cro-Mag frame, right? Or whatever. And then you go buy like, I don't know, like a Eagle kit from SRAM, and then like a RockShox, I suppose, and whatever, and pro build. Frame, parts. Okay, so you've picked out a frame, but that frame came from a factory where it was made with a bunch of other frames just like it, right? Like you go buy like a size large Cro-Mag, it's a size large Cro-Mag. That's what it is. Again, absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if you get sufficiently picky with your builds and your components and your setup and stuff, God, the salt in my eyes. If you get sufficiently picky with that stuff, then you're going to end up going that way sooner or later. Just because that's how you can be picky. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so that's your pro build, frame plus parts. The last step would be what I would have always called a custom bike. I guess some people will borrow the word from the tailoring world and call it bespoke, but like the frame is made for you and only you to your specific specifications. So your measurements, your specs, your tubing selection, everything about paint, everything is your call. So you go call up like Moots and you want a custom bike from them, or you call up Seven, or you call up Firefly, or like any of those like boutique joints. Vanilla. Thinking all the West Coast stuff, right? Like there's a ton of them around, tons. All the super swank bikes that you're used to seeing, 44 bikes, like all that swank stuff. That's all custom, right? Like that was made for one person. You don't call them up and be like, yo, I need a 17 mountain frame, and they're like, okay, I got you. They're like, we gotta talk head angle, we gotta talk reach, we gotta talk bottom bracket drop, we gotta talk wheel size and clearances, and we gotta talk everything. That's bespoke. You know what I'm saying? And like the return on investment there is bananas, in that like there isn't one. You're gonna buy the thing for a huge amount of money, and you better intend on holding it for a while, because resale on them is thin. You know what I mean? Because like, yeah, they're super dope, but like they were made for you and your specs, which means it was worth that much for you, but it's not worth that much for the next guy. You know what I'm saying? So like those are like, don't think of them as like investment pieces, or think of them as long-term holding pieces. You can't. It's not the bike you flip every year. You go buy like a stock Specialized or whatever, yeah, man, maybe you're flipping that every year, selling it off on, I don't know, wherever people sell bikes, and getting the the next model and the next thing and flipping them every year, and that's fine. That's okay with. That's not my thing, but I'm down with people doing that. That's fine. But like you can't do that with a Firefly. I mean, like it's like an 18-month wait to get one in the first place. So like anyway, those are my three levels, right? Stock, and then pro bike, pro build, and then like a full custom setup. You know what I'm saying? And then even there, you get into sort of the beyond, right? Like you're talking custom components. You call up Firefly, and you're getting a frame built from them, and they're gonna be like, "Yo, you want a frame pump in tie, anodized to match the finish of your bike? you want your titanium king cages to be anodized to match the color scheme of your bike. Like, it can get way, way, way out there. My version of that, right? Like most of my bikes, well, actually, shit, is that true? Let's see. This bike is was bought as a frame, and then I put parts and wheels and fork and all that sort of stuff on it. So that's what that is. It has a single fully custom part on it. I don't know how y'all ride without a bash guard of some sort on under your bottom bracket or on your chainring or something. Is there just not stuff like that around where you're riding? Like, we got ledges out here that will eat your chainring and chain alive on these 1x days. You know what I'm saying? And I came up riding with like rock rings and bash guards and like serious stuff all the time. And now I'm on a a real 1x system. And anyway, I had to make a here. I'll show you. I had to make a bash guard. There she is. Look at that. Nice thick chunk of aluminum bolted right up to the chain guide holes. Works great. Custom part though. So like, we got levels to these things. I'm not saying one level's better than another. I mean, if you're out riding, I'm down, man. More people on bikes is more better. I think if you're trying to get into this thing for like reasonable cash layout, as laughable a concept as that is in biking, yeah, you should totally start on a stock bike, man. You should go buy something off the peg at your local bike shop and ride it and get used to it and break stuff and fix stuff and learn a lot. And then when you get sufficiently grumpy and or picky like me, yeah, then maybe you step up to something else. This bike, I don't know how much longer it's gonna last me. She's got some wear on her. Maybe indefinitely. I don't know. I'll probably kill the wheels first. But I've been thinking about next bikes, and I'm sort of flip-flopping between the buying a frame from like a production frame and buying like a full-blown custom bike. And I'm on the fence. I don't know. The custom is appealing because I get just what I want, and it's unappealing because it's going to cost a fortune. So, what do we think, fam? Is my rear wheel hoopa-jooped? That ain't good. Please don't think that I'm like ripping on anybody for the bike that they're riding. I think anyone who thinks that the bike that you ride says anything about you as a person or as you as a rider is probably fatally flawed in their view. So, yeah. Anyway, next time.